Hey everybody, what's up? I'm DJ Sixsmith. You're watching The Sit Down. Robert Rooks here with us. He's the CEO of the Reform Alliance. Robert, really nice to meet you. How are you?
DJ, nice to meet you. Thanks for having this conversation.
You got it, man. This is a really important conversation. You and the rest of the Alliance have been doing incredible work. So why don't we just take a step back here? You were named the CEO earlier this year. What's this whole experience been like for you so far?
It's been great. You know, I've been doing this work of criminal justice reform for 23 years now. I remember a time when we could, kind of fit most of the people doing justice reform work in one hotel conference room. And now we have people organizing, changing laws, talking about these issues, folks that are cultural influencers, elevating these issues. I've never seen anything like it. I'm super excited about it. And so Reform, to me, is an organization that's really kind of at the highest level of that, where a group of influencers came together after seeing one of their own get a 2 to 4 year sentence for popping a wheelie, not committing a new crime, for popping a wheelie on a motorbike. And I'm talking about recording artist Meek Mill. They sprung into action, came together, pooled their resources, and created what I think is one of the most amazing organizations in the criminal justice space. So it's an honor for me to take the helm, to be the CEO of Reform Alliance, to move it to the next phase.
You hit on a bunch of different things there, whether it's Meek's case or even just what happened with George Floyd. Like, none of this is new, right? This is stuff that you've been working on for decades. But how fascinating is it that it is cut through with so many different people, not only Black America, but white America and brown America? I mean, what's most fascinating just about the number of people getting involved in criminal justice reform now?
What I'm excited about is that we're in a moment of listening, is that people across the country hit the streets a little bit over a year ago and said that they didn't want to have America do the types of things that they were seeing on their nightly TV with the murder of George Floyd. And so people spoke out and people raised up. They demanded action from their governments. They demanded action from their employers. They want to see things change. And now we're at a time where, okay, people are listening. What do we do next, right? How do we offer up real solutions to these, in some cases, generational problems? And Reform Alliance and other organizations like ours are putting forth these solutions on a daily basis, asking governments to change their laws in order to facilitate real help and support for people in communities. And that's what I'm excited about in this moment.
I mean, it's really incredible to see the momentum at this point. And you mentioned there's so many different things to focus on, right? There's police brutality, there's the court system. And I know specifically for you in the group, it's looking at parole, right? Because so many millions of people are on parole, and many folks don't realize, like, you get out of prison and you could be Meek Mill and you pop a wheelie and then all of a sudden you're in trouble again. So what should folks know about the issues with parole, and how do we go about changing some of those issues?
Yeah, there are millions of people, as you said, DJ, that are like Meek Mill around the country, but who don't get the support. There are 4.5 million people in some form of supervision. 45% of all state prison admissions are the result of probation and parole failures. 95,000 people are sitting in prisons and jails right now, not because they committed a new crime, but because they missed an appointment or failed a drug test. These are real people. They lost their jobs, they were separated from their families and thrown into a cell. When Meek was sent back to prison, a lot of people saw the absurdity of the system. After his release, these philanthropists came together and made change happen, but they want to make change happen for millions, not just for Meek. And that's what I'm excited about in terms of the opportunities in this moment.
I think another incredible thing is whether it's Meek or Michael Rubin or Bob Kraft or Jay-Z, like, these are folks that have put their money forward, but they're also using their time and their influence. I mean, you're in Virginia and there's laws changing there, and there's Meek right there. I mean, can you just speak to how important it is to have somebody like him not only provide money, but also time and speaking and all of that? Like, how does that change the narrative here?
Yeah, if anyone thinks this is a figurehead board, they're sorely mistaken. Like, these are people that not just are putting their resources and time together, they are committed to making change happen. We went down, there's Michael Rubin, Meek Mill, myself and others went to Virginia. Our team in Virginia nationally worked really hard in partnership with Representative Don Scott and the Virginia legislature to make meaningful change happen in Virginia. We capped probation at 5 years before it was not capped. And when Meek got out of the car, the love that people in Virginia gave him was awesome to see, and he gave them love back. And it was all about how through a stroke of a pen, lives will be changed kind of immediately. And people saw that and they sensed that and they felt that and connected to it. So yeah, my board definitely are, folks that are titans in their own spaces. But when we came together to change laws, we were all humbled by the experience and what was happening before our eyes, and it was good to be a part of it.
I mean, it's so powerful to get that legislation, right? You go back to the civil rights movement, how critical it was during the 60s. And think about everything that's happened recently, right? The conversations, people going out to the streets, but ultimately we'll take the change in the legislation. So there's been great work locally. When you think federally, what are some of the biggest priorities that you and the Alliance have that you'd love to see change in the next couple of years?
Yeah, the federal system is a system that has about 120,000 people that are in some form of supervision. That would be the 10th largest system if the federal system was a state. So we're talking about a lot of people. Currently now, there's no discretion. So if a supervising officer sees something, they can't engage in best practices, which could be getting someone immediately help. They have to revoke them and send them back to prison. So there's no discretion at the federal level. We need to see increased discretion, and we need to see the revocations at the federal level drop significantly. So we're excited about partnering with folks in Capitol Hill to advance key and important legislation that we think is going to bring real opportunity and hope for the tens of thousands of people in the federal system.
The games involved with politics can always be tricky, but with the new administration, there's an opportunity to address some of these things. Absolutely. So when you think about the Biden administration so far, what have you been happy about and what do you hope will get addressed as we go down the road here?
Well, the Biden administration has been clear that they want to see change, and I'm excited about that. I think criminal justice reform, though, is a bipartisan issue, right? I don't think it takes a Democratic administration to move justice reform or a Republican administration. This is an issue that people across the board care about, and we want to continue to elevate it in bipartisan terms. But we have real hope for passing legislation, passing the George Floyd Policing Act, passing laws that will address probation, our broken probation, our broken supervision system. We believe now is the time to leverage our collective power and voices to make this change happen. But we're not going to stop, whether if it's the Biden administration or another administration. We're going to continue to push these.
I know you and the group are just getting started here. We've talked about a lot of really important things here. Are there other issues that aren't getting enough attention that you think we should be talking about? What else should we really bring up in this conversation here?
Yeah, I want to focus on solutions, DJ. We are in the midst of rising crime across the country, that it's real. And I believe that we need to be elevating people on the ground in communities that are working to address root causes of crime. The only way we fully and successfully solve the issues in our community is to innovate and invest in people. Bureaucracies don't solve problems. We've invested the last 40 years in the failed bureaucracy called the criminal justice system. It has not solved crime. It has only put large numbers of people in prison and put them in a cycle of going in and out. And now is the time to innovate in the midst of the current spike in crime, to invest in interventionists, to invest in mental health and counseling social workers, to invest and organizations that are working to facilitate employment and other things that will help people become stable. Now's the time to do that, as opposed to just continuing to throw our money down the drain of a broken justice system.
And all this work will impact the next generation. And I know you have some boys at home and you're a father. So what does it mean to you to be doing this work, and what's it like for your kids to see you doing all this so far?
Yeah, listen, DJ, it means everything to me to be doing this work. You know, I grew up in Dallas, Texas in the 80s and 90s, and I saw my community cry out for help when drugs and guns hit. You know, I lost friends to violence, far too many friends to violence, and I committed myself to work to change laws and change systems so that my sons, who I didn't even know yet, but my offspring would have a different experience. And now that they're here, and me continue to do the work, and being able to talk about these issues with them means everything, to me, and also means everything in terms of why I originally do the work, because the next generation is all that matters. Right, it really is all that matters, and we have to do everything we can now so that they can have productive, safe lives for their offspring.
And you bring up another really important point, just the emotional toll, the emotional trauma here. I mean, I think a lot of folks dealt with it in 2020, but this is something that's been going on for decades. So can you just speak to that part of it, just the impact mentally on folks when it's, another person that's killed another person that has to deal with crappy parole, another person that's in jail for the wrong reasons? I mean, how does that ultimately impact people across the country?
DJ, I knocked on my first door as a community organizer 23 years ago. And I remember talking to a mom that first year, and all she wanted was for her kids to be able to play outside. That was it. And she couldn't let them play outside because of the open air drug market and the activities that was happening in that neighborhood. And me and my other colleagues and folks in city government sprung into action to try to make that community more safe, and also do it in a way that didn't rely on the criminal justice system. And that was tough work. It was tough work then, and it's tough work now. And the truth of the matter is, unfortunately, Black folks and brown folks and poor folks have been dealing with these issues for decades, and we're resilient. And what I want to elevate, though, is I don't think we should always have to be resilient, right? Like we should actually have systems that work for us, and that's why many of us do the work that we do.
Amen to all that. Well, you and the group have done tremendous work. It's really nice to meet you. Thank you for the time, and seriously, best of luck with everything going forward, man.
Thank you, DJ. Again, thanks for covering this topic, and thank you for just creating the space for real honest dialogue and discussion, and hope we can do it again.